It was beyond my comprehension what my stepdad had done. With my eyes shut tight, I felt my back curve gracefully. Before I even recognized the act, his name slipped from my lips in a soft whisper. Mark. Welcome to Man Story, the place to store emotional love stories. Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments section, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories. Wishing you enjoyable, relaxing moments. Thank you. I am known as Chloe. At the age of 21, I find myself compelled to share a secret I've kept hidden from everyone. I find myself utterly captivated, not to substances, refrain from alcohol, yet, to another matter, a necessity for my evenings, something I cannot forego, the device of my pleasure. Now, let us plunge into the heart of the narrative. It began at the age of 18, a time marked by curiosity, solitude, and a subtle yearning for something I couldn't quite grasp back then. I purchased my inaugural toy online, a sleek little pink object that nestled perfectly in my palm and evoked sensations I had never experienced before. Initially, I employed it on a weekly basis. From that moment on, it transformed into a nightly occurrence. I require it before I retire for the night. It resembles the routine of brushing my teeth. It resembles the act of sipping water. My body remains tense until I have experienced it. At times, I reassure myself that it's merely a matter of routine, yet beneath the surface, I recognize that it transcends that simplicity. A hidden realm took shape around it, crafted with care and imagination. A sacred ceremony, gentle melodies, subdued illumination, free from interruptions, only I accompanied by that gentle melody resonating between my thighs. I am fully aware of the delicate art of self-exploration, the precise spots to caress, and the graceful curve of my spine. I let out a soft sigh into the comforting embrace of my pillow. I toil relentlessly. I murmur secrets destined to remain unheard. And when it concludes, I find myself lying there in stillness. Content, remorseful, isolated. I kept it to myself, never sharing a word with another soul. I was unable to. It remained my hidden truth. That was the case, at least, until he took up residence. He goes by the name Mark, the new husband of my mother. She encountered him on a dating app, and in a matter of weeks, he found himself in our home, perched on our couch, sipping from our mugs as if he were a part of the family. Initially, I found the concept utterly detestable. I felt no inclination to invite an unfamiliar man into our lives, particularly not into my personal space. Yet, in that moment, he came into view. Mark defied my expectations. He possessed an air of danger, not in a frightening manner. No, this was the sort of peril that caused your thighs to tighten unexpectedly. He stood tall, with broad shoulders that exuded strength, a deep voice that resonated with authority, and a jawline so sharp it seemed capable of slicing through glass. His salt and pepper hair gave him the allure of a dashing leading man straight out of a clandestine romance film. And then there were those arms of his, adorned with ink, powerful, veins subtly revealed, inviting my thoughts to drift. I began to observe him from the hallway as he exercised in the garage. Remove the shirt, beads of sweat cascading down, muscles ripple and tense. Deep down, I was aware of the misstep, yet I found myself powerless to resist. As I settled into my nightly routine, thoughts of him began to surface. His arms held me firmly in place. His calloused hands encircled my waist. His voice murmured tantalizing secrets in my ear. My petite pink vibrator began to evoke sensations reminiscent of him, larger, firmer, more exhilarating. And that night, the night when everything transformed, I found myself immersed in it. My legs are splayed wide. The playful device buzzes softly against my skin. With my eyes shut tight, I felt my back curve gracefully. Before I even recognized the act, his name slipped from my lips in a soft whisper. Mark. At that moment, I lifted my eyelids. He was present, positioned at the threshold of my entrance. Observing, what could possibly be more disheartening? I pressed on without hesitation. The atmosphere in the room was dense, brimming with an unexpected energy, a longing that stirs the soul. Mark lingered in the doorway, his fingers clutching the frame as though he were battling an internal struggle to restrain himself. His gaze remained fixed on me, unwavering and intense, never faltering for even a heartbeat. I held my gaze steady, unwavering. Perhaps I ought to have. Perhaps I ought to have walked away. Pretended it was merely an error. Yet, I refrained. I was unable to. My body turned against me as I continued to maneuver the vibrator. The vibrations resonating through me in electrifying waves. My pulse quickened, a frantic rhythm echoing in my throat, while my chest heaved with each breath, rising and falling in a tumultuous dance. Yet it was his eyes, those profound gray orbs, that took the very breath from my lungs. A gnawing hunger consumed them. Not merely inquisitive, not merely astonished, ravenous. I anticipated a wave of embarrassment washing over me, filled with a sense of shame. Yet, what I experienced was not what I anticipated, it was something far more perilous. A familiar tension gripped my core, and an intense ache blossomed between my legs, more potent than I had ever experienced. Mark advanced, his imposing figure casting a shadow that swallowed the light from the hallway. Though he remained silent, I could observe the rapid rise and fall of his chest, mirroring my own heartbeat. He was engaged in a battle within himself. I sensed it. My voice trembled as I spoke. Yet I found myself at a loss for words. This is not your place. At first, he remained silent. He simply observed me, his eyes fixated on the delicate dance of my fingers. It was in that moment of clarity that I understood. I had not paused. I continued my relentless pursuit, pushing the toy deeper, allowing it to resonate against me as if I were beckoning him closer. In an instant, the burden of everything bore down upon me. What was I engaged in? This individual was my stepfather. Wasn't this wrong? Yet my body remained indifferent. It yearned for the tension, the illicit thrill of his proximity, even if only through his gaze. I sensed a tension within me, as if a string was drawn tight, on the verge of breaking. I inhaled sharply, my pace diminishing as I approached the precipice. Then, Mark's voice broke the silence. "Tell me to leave, Chloe," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Instruct me to depart, and I shall comply." My breath caught in my throat. I understood the question he posed. He extended to me an escape route. He was relinquishing control to me. Yet, for some reason, I found myself reluctant to accept it. I found myself panting, my fingers continuing to glide the toy over my skin. Yet my thoughts had drifted far from its presence. It rested upon him, on Mark. I gradually raised my gaze and locked eyes with him. And that was the moment I laid eyes on it. The desire within them, the identical yearning that stirred within me. A persistent, shadowy longing that clings to the soul. I don't want you to leave," I whispered, my voice barely rising above a breath. His expression transformed, his lips parted, a silent invitation to speak. Yet no words emerged. He advanced deliberately, each step taken with a careful, unhurried grace, until he found himself beside my bed. His aroma, rich with musk and the essence of the forest, enveloped me in a captivating embrace. In that fleeting instant, I believed he might reach out to me. I envisioned him wrapping me in his embrace, completing the moment I had begun. Yet, he halted merely inches apart. We were so near that I could sense his warmth, the heat emanating from him. His gaze bore down on me, a palpable presence that felt almost like a tangible caress. A restless energy coursed through me, my hips moving against the sheets as an intense ache settled deep within, teetering on the edge of unbearable. "Chloe," his voice floated gently, a mere breath above silence. "Do you truly desire this?" Uncertainty lingered in my mind, casting doubt on my conviction. Yet, my mind was consumed with the overwhelming desire to utter a resounding yes. Indeed, I inhaled deeply, my hand continuing its dance, my body yearning for further indulgence. I am certain, in that moment, he executed the final act that took me completely by surprise. With a measured grace, he grasped the hem of his shirt and, in a slow, deliberate motion, lifted it over his head. With every motion, his abs undulated, muscles taut and defined as he cast the shirt away. My gaze traced the path of ink adorning his skin, the tattoos enhancing his allure, rendering him even more formidable, even more captivating. Yet, it was not merely the tattoos or the muscles that captivated, it was the undeniable power that emanated from within. His movements exuded a remarkable control, He effortlessly commanded the space around him. I found myself utterly powerless, completely entranced. My mind wandered to the sensation of him enveloping me, his form shielding mine, exploring depths I had yet to envision. He gazed at me, his gray eyes shadowed with longing, and repeated the question, "Are you certain?" This time, I moved forward without a moment's pause. "Indeed, Mark, I am certain." In that instant, the entire landscape transformed. I was acutely aware of the boundary I was on the verge of crossing. I was fully aware of the repercussions. Yet, in that instant, with the intensity between us overwhelming, my mind was consumed by a singular desire to have him. How desperately I craved his presence. There exist instances in life that are irrevocable, instances that transform everything with a single caress. This belonged to me. Mark stood there bare-chested, his breath coming in waves as if he were engaged in a fierce battle within. Yet, his eyes, those profound gray orbs, revealed to me that he had already succumbed to that struggle. And thus had I. He leaned in closer, and I found myself holding my breath. My heart raced with such intensity that I feared he might catch the sound of it. His hand glided slowly, with a touch of uncertainty, as it brushed a strand of hair away from my cheek. His fingers hesitated, stretching the moment into something electric, sending a shiver cascading down my spine. My skin yearned for something greater. I longed for him to claim me, to lay claim to me. Yet he moved with a deliberate slowness, as if he wished for me to savor each passing second of the unfolding moment. It was as if he sought to playfully dangle before me the very thing I had been yearning for in the depths of my thoughts for weeks. "Mark," I murmured, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "Caress my skin." He remained silent, offering no verbal response. He chose to remain seated on the edge of the bed, his gaze fixed unwaveringly upon me. His hand glided softly down my thigh, mapping my skin as if he were discovering every contour of my being. I pressed my lips together, leaning into his caress, yearning for something deeper. As his fingers finally brushed against the waistband of my panties, he hesitated. "If you wish for me to cease, this is the moment to express it." Yet halting was the very last desire that stirred within me. "Do not cease," I commanded, kindly. In an instant, he drew the fabric aside. His gaze locked onto my form. His gaze stripped me bare, leaving me feeling not only vulnerable in body but utterly laid bare in spirit. It was as if he could perceive each thought, each desire, every hidden truth I had long concealed. His fingers glided across my sensitive skin, eliciting a gasp from my lips. While my legs quivered under his caress, he leaned closer, his lips grazing my ear. "This has been a dream of yours, hasn't it?" he murmured softly. "Indeed," I inhaled. Each evening, the heat between us intensified, the tension becoming almost palpable. He lingered, delving into my being as if he sought to etch each response, each breathless sound, each tremor into his memory. And then it came into view. He rose gradually, loosening his belt with deliberate care. As his pants fell, my eyes grew wide with surprise. My heart fluttered with unexpected intensity. He exceeded my expectations in size. Dense, weighty, formidable. In that fleeting instant, I found myself paralyzed. This moment had danced through my fantasies countless times. Yet now that it stood before me in reality, I questioned my ability to embrace him fully. He noticed the uncertainty reflected in my gaze and bent closer, pressing his lips to my neck, his voice a soothing whisper. "I shall be gentle," he declared, "yet, I desire for you to truly sense my presence." Indeed, I did. He navigated the space between my legs, one hand steering his path while the other tenderly cradled my face. His gaze met mine, a silent connection as he advanced, deliberate and measured. A sharp intake of breath escaped my lips. The stretch was fierce, bordering on overwhelming. A tension coursed through my body. "Relax, baby," he whispered, his thumb gliding softly across my lips. "Allow me entry." I made an effort. With my eyes shut, I concentrated on the sound of his voice and the warmth of his touch. Slowly, he enveloped me, reaching depths I had never known before. A sound escaped my lips, one I could not contain. The ache lingered, yet so did the delight, intertwining seamlessly, pointed yet delightful. As he settled completely within me, We found ourselves momentarily still, our breaths heavy and labored. Incredible. You feel, he groaned. I grasped him tightly, my fingers pressing into his back as he started to shift. Gentle, deliberate movements. Each movement reverberated within me, stirring deep emotions. I experienced a sense of fullness, an expansion, a feeling of possession. It was a mistake. Each aspect of it was off limits. Yet, it resonated with an undeniable sense of correctness. His lips sought mine, filled with a fervent longing. His hands clasped my hips, drawing me nearer with each powerful thrust. The headboard struck the wall, a relentless cadence that compressed the space, intensifying the heat within the room. "Mark, I can't," I gasped. "I am going to release," he murmured. "I long to sense your arrival." Indeed, I did. A wave of tension coursed through my body, only to erupt into a torrent of heat and ecstasy that rendered me breathless. I cried out, clinging to him as if I were plummeting into the abyss. He came moments later, his hold growing firmer, a low, deep groan escaping against my neck. As the final moments faded, we fell into one another, a tangle of exhaustion and relief. Our breaths came in ragged gasps, our forms entwined, our thoughts whirl and dance. A lengthy silence enveloped us, words unspoken between us, for we were both aware. Retracing one's steps was no longer an option. It all began with my vibrator. At this moment, each night feels incomplete without his presence. Mark, my stepfather. The mere thought of his name echoed in my mind, sending a chill coursing through me. Our actions ought to have filled me with a sense of shame. Yet, it only served to ignite my appetite. Enthralled, with each passing moment he strolled by, and every time his rich voice resonated from the adjacent room, an insatiable longing for him surged within me. I craved him as one craves the very breath of life. Following that night, everything transformed. Our touches had transformed, no longer mere accidents. Our gazes held a lingering intensity. We discovered paths to solitude, to move stealthily around my mother, akin to two secretive lovers entangled in a perilous dance. Yet, it lacked the essence of a game. It was a struggle for existence. Mark began to visit my room in the late hours of the night. Silence. Proceed with caution. At times, he would simply recline beside me, his large hand gliding up my thighs while I feigned slumber, only to surrender to his touch the instant his fingers discovered my secret place. On other nights, he would rouse me from sleep with sultry whispers, his body already pressed against mine. Eager and ready, he took great pleasure in teasing me. "What do you desire, my dear?" he would ask. And I would whimper, yearning for him. "Please, Mark, your presence is essential to me." Each evening spent in his presence unfolded into a deeper layer of fixation. Another memory etched into my very being. He expanded my boundaries in ways no one ever had before. He filled me so profoundly that his presence lingered within me even into the next morning. Yet, it transcended mere physicality. On certain nights, he would prepare a warm bath for me, meticulously cleansing every part of my body with his powerful hands before pressing me against the fogged bathroom mirror. There were those mornings when we would quietly slip into the garage, me perched atop the dryer as he unexpectedly lifted my dress and entered me. The filth was palpable. It was an error, yet it was utterly flawless. I have ceased the use of my vibrator. It wasn't that I shunned the idea of release, rather. It was the undeniable truth that nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to the sensation of being with him. His sighs were a drug, his scent intoxicating, and his voice, a low growl in my ear, as he held me captive, claiming me as his own. One afternoon, I returned home earlier than usual and discovered him in the living room. Beads of sweat shimmering on his chest. Engrossed in repairing something, his shirt absent, my gaze absorbed him completely. He raised his gaze and offered a sly smile. "Are you already feeling my absence?" I approached, letting my purse slip from my grasp, my heart pounding in my chest. "You're completely unaware." He drew me into his embrace, our lips colliding with fervor. I could sense his presence expanding beneath me. I pressed against him, filled with desire, and breathed, "Take me." Here it is. On that day, I found myself on the living room couch, whispering softly into his shoulder as he enveloped me repeatedly, his hands clutching my waist as if I were the sole woman he would ever desire. The sound of the garage door opening went unnoticed by us. My heart almost ceased to beat. My mother. Mark gently removed me from his embrace, draping a blanket over us as I hurriedly adjusted my dress. We stood there, hearts racing, cheeks flushed, mere moments from discovery. It was on that day that we came to understand the extent of our recklessness. Yet, neither of us paused. The peril only intensified the heat. Even at this moment, I remain uncertain about the duration of this situation. How much longer can we continue to slip through the shadows, capturing fleeting instances amidst the fabrications? Yet, there is one certainty I hold dear. I have moved on from my reliance on my vibrator. I find myself utterly captivated by Mark. The aroma that lingered in the air, his complexion, his formidable presence shatters me with each encounter. And beneath the surface, I sense that he is equally captivated by me.